Hey guys, this is Pluton here and welcome back to another Minecraft tutorial, and in today's tutorial we are going to talk about elevators. Well, what is an elevator? Well, it's something which brings you up and then takes you down from one floor to another inside of a building, right? Well, that's about real life. In Minecraft we also have elevators, and elevators are of different designs. Like, let's talk about elevators that are built with pistons, then there's elevators made of slime blocks, then there's elevators made of bubble columns and whatnot. Like, you even have a bubble column elevator which does not use any redstone at all. But most of those elevator designs which we know about are actually between two floors only. Like, there's one floor at the bottom and then one floor at the top, and that's it. The elevator travels between those two floors. Now, multi-floor elevator designs do exist, but there are added complications with them, such as, adding a calling system for every floor so that you can actually call the elevator from the other floor to come down to your floor or go up to your floor, and then you're going to use it to go to some other floor. There is a lot of complex redstone going behind this. If you find a pattern, then it's very good, then it might become simple. But today I've actually brought a pretty unique concept in terms of a redstone elevator, and that is actually based on, well, piston feed tapes. Yep, you heard it right. Piston feed tape player elevator. Yep, this concept is pretty new. And how is it different from all the other designs? It's because this thing will keep cycling, and it goes up as well as down at the same time. It keeps cycling itself, and that means you don't even need to call the elevator from any other floor. You can just get inside the piston feed tape and it will take you wherever you want. It will drop you wherever you want. It will pick you up from wherever you want. It is always running, and that is the best thing about this elevator. So you can see in front of me, I have this design of a multi-floor elevator, which is, well, 4 floors, right? There's a first floor, or a ground floor you might want to call it, considering if that is the ground level, and then you have the first floor, the second and the third floor, right? So how is this thing based? Let us actually start this machine here at the bottom. Here you can see that I have a lever. This lever will actually turn this on, and you can see that you have a piston feed tape which has started to cycle all of these things around. Now what will happen is you can actually stand inside of these compartments, and you can stand and then wait for the elevator to move up a floor like that. Pretty good. And you can also go down. So you just need to get into the elevator from the other side, and it will take you down like so, and you're down on the lower floor. Well, before talking about elevators, let's talk about piston feed tapes. So what is exactly a piston feed tape? Well, it is a contraption that is used to cycle blocks around. Simple as that. So you can see that I have a little simple setup for a piston feed tape which has a redstone clock attached to it. So if I flick this lever, you can see that there's an item traveling through these hoppers which will activate a redstone clock. Now as the redstone clock activates, you can see that periodically we have these blocks being cycled around. Now this is the principle behind our elevator, except the difference is that you can see that here we are only cycling single blocks around. So you can see each of these blocks is a single independent unit. Right. So what is different in our elevator? Well, if we consider one of these blocks as a unit that is being independently cycled, so if we come to this side, here you can see that this is the build with the decoration, and this here is the build without any of the decorations. Right. So here what is different is that this piston feed tape actually uses 2x2 compartments, and these compartments are actually made of slime blocks and honey blocks. Why? I'll show you that later. Anyways, so you can see that these are our compartments, and since these are not one by one, we have to make slight changes in how our piston feed tape works. And what have we done here? Instead of using single pistons like all of these corners have, we have a double piston extender on every single one of these corners. So here I have this as a double piston extender, this as a double piston extender, all the way up there we have this as our double piston extender, and finally we have this as our double piston extender. Quite a lot of double piston extenders, and that is what makes this thing complicated. Rather not a simple feed tape, but a lot complicated version of a feed tape. Why do we need to use double piston extenders? Well, obviously we don't want these two sides to stick to each other. That's why we are keeping them separated. So we have to move this compartment to the left by 2 blocks, and that's why we have to use double piston extenders. These double piston extenders alone make this feed tape look a lot more complex than that one over there. Look at that. This is just a little bit of redstone. That's it. But while look at this thing, this is ginormous. While being giant, It is also only 2 blocks wide. Yep. In case of a multi-floor elevator, the designs are usually very complex as I have seen on YouTube, but this one is actually pretty simple. You can see it's only 2 blocks wide and it only uses double piston extenders, just a few of these double piston extenders, and one redstone clock at the bottom to power through all of these. You can also see that I have these slime block towers for powering as well, the stuff. And yeah, so this is pretty much the build. So if you actually flick this lever, what is actually happening is we are having these compartments or these units being cycled around. Now, why do we use these kinds of compartments? We have a specific reason for that. So if I turn off this lever and quickly come back to this portion here, you can see that it stops. Right. So we have a slime block, actually two slime blocks and a trapdoor on the top of it as one of our compartments. Now, why do we use a trapdoor? It's because a player can easily stand under a trapdoor. Simple as that. And if you go up on top, you can see you can stand under this trapdoor as well. It's going to be a bit difficult for me to get in, but I guess I can use this honey block. There you go. You can see that we can easily fit inside these trapdoors, and this is good enough to carry us up. Right. Obviously, you might be thinking that all of these compartments are making it really difficult for the pistons to push them, right? This thing is definitely going over the push limit. Well, you're right. Obviously, we are going over the push limit, but that's why this elevator can actually not be built inside of vanilla Minecraft. What I'm using here is actually the carpet mod. So if you actually have a look inside of our mods menu, you can see that we are using the carpet mod and a number of other mods which I'll tell you how to install right away. Well, the carpet mod actually has this feature of increasing the push limit. So what you can actually do is to increase your push limit, you can just type in this command /carpet and then you can type in the push limit and you can set it to whatever number you want. Here there are some presets like 10, 100, 12 or 14, but you can use whatever number. I have used 100. Well, it will also ask you to change this thing permanently. So what I can do is I can just click this again and we have permanently set our piston push limit to 100. And now what will happen is that these pistons can now be able to push over 12 blocks, which is the normal vanilla push limit. Right. So that is the thing, and that is the only disadvantage about this elevator, is that you can't build it inside of vanilla Minecraft and you have to use a modded client. Well, that's not a problem, I guess. Is it? Is it? Does a build have to be built using only vanilla Minecraft? Well, I have also showcased a build which you can build using create mod. You can check out the last video. The link should be right at the top of the screen at the moment. Anyways, that one was built using create mod, and now I'm building this one using carpet mod. So I'm doing a lot of modded tutorials lately. Anyways, so you need to have carpet mod installed, and this is actually a fabric mod. So if you have a look at my F3 screen, you can see that I am having fabric loader installed inside of my game. You will be able to find a tutorial in the description and you can actually go and have a look at it so that you can understand how to install a mod loader and add mods into your game. Simple as that. Okay, so enough talking about this build. I think we should move on to the tutorial of this build. Yep, let's move on to the tutorial. So to build this contraption, you're going to need an area which is 2 blocks wide and 14 blocks long. And also, if you're going to build this thing in survival, I would like to mention one thing, is that since this carpet mod has lots of commands, right? If you're going to use carpet mod inside of your survival world, I would recommend having commands enabled because you're going to use one of them here, which is regarding the push limit. And if you have that enabled, you can change the push limit to whatever value you want, and then you'll be able to use this elevator inside of your world. Anyways, let's have a look at the list of items you would need. So you would need 8 sticky pistons, 6 regular pistons, 8 observers, 7 repeaters, 1 comparator, 10 redstone dust, 4 redstone torches, 1 lever, 21 blocks for placing your redstone on, 1 gravity block. I'm going to use sand here, but you could use gravel or red sand or even concrete powder, whatever you might want to use. And then a decent number of slime, honey and trapdoors. Now the reason why you need this is because this build is very flexible in terms of how high you can make it, because using the carpet mod you can set your push limit to whatever number you want. It is not just fixed at 12. You can just put it equal to 100 or 1000 or 10,000. I really don't know how high this number can go, but yeah, you can set it to whatever number you want. And even a push limit of 1000 is like very good, because like seriously, who is going to push 1000 blocks with a single piston anyway? So yeah, and you can set it to whatever number you want. That means you can make this build as high as possible. You can set it to as high as you want. It could be as high as your base if you have a building kind of a base. If you want to have floors in your build, then you can have as many floors as you want with no restrictions on how high you can build this elevator. So you can have as many slime blocks and honey blocks available with you. So that's pretty good actually with the carpet mod. In the end, you're going to need any number of blocks for decoration, because come on, you can do whatever you want to do. I have just built that out of black stone and nethery stuff, but you can use whatever blocks you want and in whatever amount. So let's begin. So start by coming up center, and you can see that these central blocks are the ones we're going to start with. So towards the right of these two blocks, we're going to place a block here with a lever on its face. On the top, you can place a redstone dust like so, and then have two repeaters going out towards the left. These repeaters should be placed on 4 ticks like so. After that, you place a block, you place a redstone torch. On top of this, you place another block. Next to this redstone torch, place 2 blocks like so going across, and then place 2 more repeaters set on 4 ticks like so. Now I'm going to recommend you turn on this lever, because what is going to happen is this is going to lock our so-called redstone clock. So we crouch and place a block on top of this redstone, and this will actually complete our redstone clock. So what is going to happen is when we flick this lever off, these repeaters are also going to turn off, and then this torch will turn on, which means that this redstone will turn on, these repeaters will turn on, making this redstone power back on again, which means these torches, sorry, not these torches, these repeaters will turn on back again, which means this torch will turn off, and the sequence just repeats itself on and on and on. This is how this redstone clock works. Anyways, now what we need to do is we need to come towards the back, place a block behind this redstone torch, and go 2 blocks to the right and left like so. Actually only 1 block, so this makes like this. Then you need to place a temporary block here, place 1 block above, remove this and add 2 more blocks like so. So this is going to be a straight line like here. Then you're going to place a block here, 1 up, 1 ahead, and then another one here. Then remove these, and this is going to be a block for a redstone. Go 1 block up like this diagonally and remove these 2 temporary blocks. So this here, and also I forgot that you need to place a temporary block here and another block here. So this line here is basically going to be the main command center for every single one of these activation systems for all of our double piston extenders. So what we are going to do is first we're going to place a line of redstone going across all of this, and then also redstone on these 2 blocks like here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to place a redstone torch here. So when this redstone powers on, this redstone torch will turn off, which means this redstone will also turn off. Now why do we need to do that is because if we look at here, this piston needs to extend while this piston needs to retract. Currently it's the opposite. So this piston is retracted, which means this redstone is turned off and this one is turned on. This torch is turned on. That means this redstone is also turned on and this piston is extended, which means it will go on and power this double piston extender. Right. So this activation center will look something like this. In the end, we're going to also place a torch on this side here. Now place pistons as instructed. So we're going to place a piston here, so which is right next to this torch, so you can see that it will extend. Place a piston here, then a piston on top of this block, and a piston to the side of this block. Now we are going to place an observer here and an observer here. Next to this, we're going to place a block like so. So when this piston extends, this observer will come next to the face of this block, and on this block we're going to place a repeater set to 4 tick delay. With next to it we have a sticky piston. So I'm crouch placing a sticky piston facing upwards, and on top of it we're going to place a regular piston. Now this is not like a regular double piston extender. It does not retract its blocks. It only extends and pushes the blocks out of the way so that we can have our next set of, the next compartment to come in this location and keep the feed tape cycling around. Then we need to come to this portion here. Actually no, we still need to complete this double piston extender here. So what we are going to do is we are going to add a observer here, and also I forgot that you also need to have a couple of immovable blocks here. So I'm going to use obsidian. I'm going to place it here. Now why do we need obsidian here is because we are going to have slime blocks right next to this here. So if we have a regular block, this piston will push the compartment up, but it will also push this block along with it. and that is a problem because we need this block here because the observer is actually going to power through this block into the piston. So we need an immovable block in that location. Coming towards this system here, what we are going to do is we're going to first add a sticky piston facing, actually a regular piston facing upwards, then a gravity block like so here. Then we need to also place a furnace or some sort of container block, which I again forgot. I'm forgetting things. We're going to place this furnace on top of this observer. Now I'm using a furnace, but you can use any sort of container block. It really doesn't matter. So we don't no longer need this furnace here anyways. So what we are going to do is inside this furnace we're going to put any random item which we don't need. Let's put this sand in here because we are done with it. So on the other side you are going to place a block here, and on this block we are going to place a comparator. So place this comparator here. You can see that it's getting powered because we have this furnace here, and it is going to detect the item inside the furnace through this sand block. Now we need to place a block here and a block up, remove this and add a redstone torch. This is going to turn off as at the time being. Now what we have created here is actually called a 5 tick pulse. Now you might have heard of a 4 tick pulse or a 1 tick pulse generator. Well, this is a 5 tick pulse generator, and it is specifically needed for the double piston extender that we are going to construct to the side of it. Now this 5 tick pulse actually is created by El Mango. You might want to go and have a look at his video. I can definitely drop a link down in the description. And this 5 tick pulse generator is actually going to be helpful for the working of this double piston extender here, which only uses one observer. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to place this observer in front of this redstone torch, so it is facing the redstone torch. So what is going to happen is when this torch turns on or off, this is when this observer is going to detect our signal. Place an immovable block here. Underneath this observer we are going to place a piston. This piston gets power when this torch gets powered, right, through quasi connectivity, as you might see. And then a regular piston at the end, and these are going to be the bottom pistons. Now what we are going to do is we are going to add all of our compartments. Now why do we need to do this is so that we can have a reference as to how high our top 2 double piston extenders are going to be present. So I'm just going to build as high as this because it's just for the purpose of this tutorial. I'm just going to build this thing exactly the same as this here. So I'm going to build as many compartments as I require. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build with slime blocks and honey blocks in alternating fashion. So I'm going to place slime blocks here, then 2 honey blocks, then 2 slime blocks, then 2 honey blocks, and so on until we reach that level where we need to reach actually. So there's just one more of these. Now you are looking here, you can see that this compartment is just this line is just ending here, but we have 2 more blocks above. So what I'm going to do for the time being, I'm going to push this up here as well. And now what I'm going to do is this is going to be our reference here for our double piston extenders on the top here. So what we are going to do is we're going to grab our temporary blocks here, or just our redstone blocks, whatever you might want to call them, and we're going to go 2 blocks to the left and then add a transparent block. And why am I forgetting all the blocks? No issues, right? We are going to place a transparent block here and remove all of these temporary blocks here. We're going to place a sticky piston and a regular piston like so, another regular piston on the top of the sticky piston, then an observer going into this towards the slime block, and an immovable block at the end of the observer. Now we don't need these 2 blocks because this is how high this side of the the feed tape goes. Now what we are going to do is we are going to go to the other side. So what we are going to do is we're going to go 2 blocks to the right like so, then go 2 blocks up, remove these blocks, and this is where we are going to add our final double piston extender which faces downwards. So we are going to place a sticky piston facing downwards, a regular piston on its face, remove this block, add a immovable block like obsidian here right next to this, and 1 block lower. So this is where it actually needs to be, so we can remove this one actually. That was a temporary block. Now we place redstone dust right there on the top of this obsidian, place an observer facing downwards, and actually for the time being you can remove this redstone because we are going to place a repeater on top of it and you don't want any piston flickering and all, So we can do this, set this repeater on 4 ticks, and after we have done that we can place back our redstone right there. Now what we are going to do is we're going to place a block here like so, temporary block, and then 1 block above, and on the other side on this transparent block we are going to also place another repeater which is again on 4 ticks. Now after we have done this, what we can do is we can also add the other side. We can just do that right now, or what we can do is we can work on these pistons here. Now these pistons are not leading into anything, but what we are going to do is we are going to make a tower of slime blocks going all the way up the top. You don't need to worry about the length of it because we have already increased our push limit to some value like 100. Make sure you also increase your push limit to whatever value of convenience, but make sure it has to be larger than the number of the blocks that these pistons are pushing, right? It needs to be ensured, like you need to be sure about that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to build up a tower of slime blocks all the way until we reach this point here. This is one block below this block here, this whatever this is called, this this block here. So we need to stop one block below it, and to the left of it, when we are looking at it from the front, to the left of this slime block, we need to place an observer whose dot is facing towards the front, right? So what happens is when that piston extends, this observer will come in front of this block. I mean, the face will be looking there, but that dot will go into this block. This observer will detect the change that has been moved, and it's going to power this double piston extender. Now what we need to do is for the other side, we need to power that bottom piston down there. Now since it is already extended, what we need to do is we need to go all the way up to the top until we are just in line with this block, and then we can just go one block higher and then place an observer whose dot goes into this repeater. And this is actually all of the redstone completed. Now what we need to do is we need to finish this by adding in all of our compartments, as you can see over there. So we need to place them in alternating fashion. So we ended in a honey block compartment here, so we're going to place slime here, followed by honey, then slime, then honey, slime, honey, slime, and honey, and until this point where you can see that this is the last compartment at the bottom. We need to stop one compartment before that. Finally, what you're going to do is for all of these compartments, you're going to add a trapdoor. Now this trapdoor will go here, here, and you can see it's on the top half of the top of the compartment, right? Like just the tippity top of that compartment. And you need to place all of these trapdoors on the top of all of these compartments, like so. Okay, so after building this redstone contraption, you need to know how to add the floors, right? Because this elevator has no use without any floors. So let's have a look at that. So if you are going to start by placing the bottommost floor in your elevator, you need to make sure that you are at least two of these segments or units or compartments. There's so many words, right? You need to start from the bottom piston and go up two compartments, and this is where your first floor is going to go, right here. Now why we put it here and not on this level is because this is where the compartments switch from this side to this side, and when that happens, actually, let's say if you are standing inside one of the compartments for too long, you are just going to fall through the shaft, right? You don't want that. So what you actually want is we have this elevator floor one block high, one compartment higher, so that this thing does not happen. So yeah, this is where our first floor is. Now for any of the consequent floors, you need to place the blocks at intervals of multiples of 2, because every time this compartment moves, these compartments move by units of 2, right? So you can place a floor here, or you can place a floor above 4 blocks, and then you can also go up to as high as like 6 blocks. It's completely up to you how high you want to build it, except if you already have built your your building, right? If you have already constructed your building and now you are adding the elevator, in case if there is an odd number of blocks between these floors, so what you can do is, let's say for example this floor is at 5 blocks height from the previous one. Now what you want to do is you should keep this, you can keep this floor at whatever level you want, because you might not want to change it. But what you can do is you can obviously make this portion 1 block higher where the elevators meet, right? So this becomes level, and I don't think it should take a lot of space out of your floor. It's just like 3 blocks. You can easily fix that problem with this, and yeah, this is how you should arrange your floors. So anyways guys, this is the end of the tutorial. If you like this video or like this design, feel free to drop a like below, and also comment if you want to see any new design. Like, I've been making a lot of modded Minecraft redstone contraptions lately, like the previous video on which I built a Rubik's Cube. using the create mod. This time I'm using this build with the carpet mod, and other mods do exist with which I can modify how redstone works. So if you like to see more modded creations, you can definitely comment down in the comment section and tell me what kind of ideas you want to see with making videos on. Right. Okay. So yeah, so like this video, and also feel free to subscribe to the Plutonium Plays channel, because why not? And also ring that bell so that you never miss any of my future videos. In the end, I'd say that I'll see you in the next video. Bye.